There's a whole lot going on when we made episode 2. Like, for starters, at this point, we're on our 3rd week of shooting. Why? Because when we shot episode 1, that was the first weekend. And then the next weekend, to the scheduling conflicts, we had to shoot episode 7. And now we're shooting episode 2. Yes, still bad audio, still problems on set. And now, welcome to conflict. By the time we got to episode 2, I had 2 directors. Let me explain. It wasn't that Amal Parker wasn't capable of directing episode 1. It's just they became a conflict with him in the first AD, which is Alan B. Wright. And it was a clash because one person would have one idea, one person would have another idea, and it would literally get to the point where they were disagreeing and it would interrupt the flow of the set. I called up a friend of mine who helped me put the series together, and he had to come on set and talk to the 2. He advised me that you have 2 directors, and you have one that has a position underneath one, and it's not going to work. Either you get rid of one and deal with the other, and then that'll eliminate the problem, or you have to talk to one and say, look, he's coming on as this. I didn't want to get rid of Amal Parker because I thought that he worked so well with the actors. And he was been there since day one. It would only make sense to keep him because he knows the actors, he knows the script, he knows the characters, he knows the script, and he knows me. So did Alan. Alan was also there, oddly, since day one. But I didn't work as close with him from the very beginning. So I made the decision to promote Alan from AD to director. Now, Amal Parker was still lead director, and then Alan was more of a technical director. And it started to work out okay. I think a lot of the issues with the directors were visuals and how certain things needed to be shot. Looking back now, almost 2 years later, they could have collaborated prior to coming to set. And I don't think that they did, or no one told me. And without that, then you're going to show up on set and you guys didn't even discuss what's going to happen. Of course, there's going to be clashing. Of course. So if you decide to have 2 directors, make sure, one, there's 2 people who can get along, and also 2 people who can work together outside the set. It is not going to work when you show up on set and that's when you decide, okay, we're going to do this shot, do that shot. I mean, shot lists have to be shared amongst the directors and DP. I don't know what they did behind the scenes because, again, I'm busy running around, making sure we still have a location, have food, have equipment, have everything else. And the last thing I need to do is babysit directors. And it happened a lot to the point where one wanted to walk off set. I think they both at some point by episode 2 want to walk off set. Because remember, we're on the 3rd week. Now, the great thing is they stuck through it throughout the whole season. I mean, it wasn't easy, but they did. What they decided to do was figure out what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. Amal was very good directing the actors. And Alan was really good on the technical side with the cameras. So that sometimes worked okay, but I did learn that it was very difficult for Amal to sometimes get a word in when it came to certain shots, which again could have been avoided had they spoken outside of being on set. I'm not even sure they had each other's phone numbers. If you're going to have 2 people in such a high position, they have to work together well, or it's going to be, as our president says, a disaster. Because one of our directors was a bit overbearing sometimes. We all know it. He knew it. And I think that made it a little bit difficult for them to create a great product. However, they did. They made these amazing shots. I liked in episode 2 how you see pretty much the whole entire classroom at almost every single angle. And they weren't afraid to experiment with the angles. I am not a camera person. I am not a DP. I am not the director of season 1 of the adjuncts. However, I did appreciate when I'm looking at the final product how well they all worked together. Yes, was there conflict? It's going to happen on set. But when they finally got it together, they got together so good. Now, minus the audio, which I have to repeat until it gets better, they did a great job shooting it. you look at this particular scene right here and you see how the characters are talking about the back and forth, and shout out to Tracy, she did a great job editing that scene. But you do get to see all the different angles of the classroom, which I thought was good. It's good for the eye, it's good for the audience to see. So don't be afraid to use different types of angles when you're shooting anything, and experiment. I think that's important. Also, plan ahead. Have the shot sheet spread around to whoever needs to see it, and so that you know what you need to do. I can't stress continuity. In the script, sometimes I would have objects in the script that were said and they were not there. So the script supervisor would catch it and say, okay, wait a minute. This is not in the actual scene. We need to do something about it. So I'd have to hurry up and do a quick rewrite to explain that why this object isn't in there. The break room we created did not have a copy machine in it because it was in another building. So we can't just drag this giant copy machine into a made-up break room. So what I did was I was creative and I made them say, where's the copy machine?
What happened to the copy machine?
Oh, they took it out. And they took out the microwave. How am I supposed to make my lunch?
At the other 5 campuses I work for, they do not keep a copy machine in the break room.
So instead of trying to drag some random object to pretend to be a copy machine or even a little copy machine, you just write it out. Pull it out so that you don't have to worry about having to explain why an object is there. I used to hate watching certain web series and they would say certain things and I'm just like, where is it? When you can't get the ideal location, you have to build a set. It's totally normal. The break room that we had was initially a blank classroom. It was just a regular classroom with desk and a board. We made that into a break room. We pulled couches, we created like little tables that were out at the school that I work for, and we created a break room. It's so important to take pictures before and after. One, you want to put the place back together. But two, that break room was going to be used throughout the entire season. The last thing we needed was to not know where this went, where that went. So we took a bunch of pictures of how we wanted the break room to always look. We also had props that we kept separate to make sure we had continuity. So they always had a specific coffee maker, a really funny noodles box that got beat up throughout the season, and then it disappeared towards the end. Who took the noodles? We had those noodles for like 6 months and then they disappeared. Who would take the noodles? Thief? So we would have to make sure that we had all the same props there, everything that we were going to use. It had to be consistent. Even where we located the chairs, just to make sure that no chairs moved. There wasn't like a love seat at one shot and then another shot, it wasn't the same thing. So it was really important to make sure everything was always in its place. And then we'd have to put it back. So it was constant. That was probably the part of the set that I didn't like, which I wish you had PAs because I hate moving furniture. But on an indie set, everybody works. Everybody does everything. So there I was pushing heavy furniture, lifting things up, helping with getting the set together because we're a team. So as a whole, when you're filming a web series like The Adjuncts, it's so important that when you are picking your directors, pick people with strengths and also pick people who can get along, because that was a very big struggle for me throughout the entire season of The Adjuncts, is hoping my directors didn't kill each other. Although in the end, I feel like in time we worked better with one another. But at the beginning, it was such a struggle. In the beginning, it's episode 2, by the 3rd week, we had to get used to one another. And at some point we did, like when we were done shooting. But getting people to be able to work together and work outside the set is critical. The directors and the producers and the writers have to work outside the set. You cannot wait until you come to set and then decide, okay, well, let's talk about this. You have to think about time. Time is money. The more time that's wasted, the angrier your executive producer is going to be, because that means you have to be on set longer, which means you got to feed people again, and then you don't want to have an angry executive producer. You just don't want to deal with that at all. Because I can't tell you how many times when we wasted so much time on set trying to get things set up and trying to agree with certain things that we could have left sooner, but the day ended up being longer because of lack of preparation. So you don't have to sit and meet all the time, but phone calls are easy, texts are easy, email is easy. No one should hoard the shot list. the script is also ahead in front of you well in advance. So reading the script the day of set, that's a no-no. Deciding to hoard the shot list and not tell anyone, also a no-no. The DP has to have the shot list. Both directors need to have the shot list, and everyone needs to have a conversation before coming to set. Period. Or you're just gonna have a tough time. And it takes longer to blend everything together. So it's a team thing. Keep that in mind. When you're working on a film set, it's a team. A team has to work together in order to make something beautiful. If there's constant conflict and no one wants to agree, then you're not going to have a good product. The good news is, again, my team somehow got it together, but it took longer than it needed to. Don't be afraid to rewrite something out of the script if you don't have the prop, like a copy machine. Don't have a copy machine? Have the character say, where's the copy machine? So I would make sure that we keep all this together. Don't be afraid to build a set from scratch. Use what you have. You may not have a big film studio to be able to build something from scratch, but use the space that you have. That's not a problem. Look at the furniture that's around, move things around so you can have whatever you want. And it's okay if it doesn't reflect something perfect or realistic, as my favorite fans used to love to tell me all the time. But you just want to make sure you create a scene that can open up conversation and where characters would be and have a scene thing. Best part of shooting episode 2 was the martini shot.